In the vast expanse of the Pacific lies Taiwan, a small island with immense strategic significance. For China, it symbolizes both a historical grievance and a critical piece in its quest for global dominance. Yet, despite China's vast military might, Taiwan's position is not easily challenged. It holds the key to a geopolitical trap that could reshape the region's future. The battle for Taiwan is not just a fight for land. It is a high-stakes game where every move could have profound global consequences. Join us at Eagle Discovery as we explore the complexities behind this critical conflict. Geographical and logistical challenges for China. One of the main challenges for China, when considering a potential invasion of Taiwan, lies in the sheer practicality of such an operation. On the surface, China appears well-equipped for military endeavors, with substantial investments in modern technology and a rapidly expanding defense budget. The Chinese military boasts cutting-edge systems, from sophisticated missile technology to advanced aircraft and naval assets. However, despite its formidable military capabilities, the situation closely resembles the biblical tale of David and Goliath, where the seemingly smaller, less powerful opponent, Taiwan, holds the upper hand in several key aspects. The Taiwan Strait, a natural barrier. A significant geographical hurdle is the Taiwan Strait, a narrow and treacherous body of water that acts as Taiwan's first line of defense. At its narrowest point, the strait spans just 81 miles, which may seem passable. However, the strait is infamous for its unpredictable weather patterns, including intense monsoon seasons that occur twice a year. These seasons, combined with the area's tropical climate, make any military naval operation a daunting task. The region is prone to violent storms, high winds, and towering waves, conditions that can hinder the effectiveness of even the most advanced fleets. For any attempt at an invasion, China would have to wait for the right seasonal window, limiting their operational flexibility. Even with the world's largest naval force, which boasts over 200 ships, China faces the immense challenge of coordinating a large-scale amphibious assault across these perilous waters. The logistics of deploying such a mission would be complex, requiring careful planning and precision. Logistical nightmares, transporting troops and supplies. The logistical side of the operation is where China faces an even greater challenge. Successfully transporting thousands of soldiers and heavy equipment across the strait is no easy feat. While China possesses an impressive naval fleet, including a mix of aircraft carriers, amphibious assault ships, and destroyers, most of these ships would be vulnerable targets in such an operation. Taiwan's robust missile defense systems and its high-tech radar capabilities make it possible to target even the largest naval ships. Additionally, many of China's amphibious vessels are converted civilian ships, which are slower and less maneuverable, making them prime targets for Taiwan's advanced missile systems. Moreover, the transportation of heavy military equipment and supplies across the Taiwan Strait poses another major obstacle. The speed and efficiency of the naval fleet would be critical for any invasion force, but the narrow window for operation during favorable weather conditions complicates matters. Even with thousands of ships, the operation would still face massive challenges in terms of timing, efficiency, and vulnerability to attack. Hey there, where are you from? I want to know which city you're watching our video from. Please leave a comment so we don't feel lonely. A small action like this will motivate us to make more videos. Thank you and much love to you. The challenges of crossing the Taiwan Strait. Assuming China could somehow overcome the maritime hurdles and successfully cross the Taiwan Strait, it would then face another monumental challenge: conducting a successful landing on Taiwan's shores. To put this into perspective, it would likely take around 400,000 soldiers to land simultaneously, which is a daunting figure. For comparison, the Normandy invasion during World War II, one of the most complex amphibious operations in history, involved between 100,000 and 300,000 troops. However, Taiwan's geography and defense infrastructure present far more difficulties than the conditions faced during D-Day. The terrain and defenses of Taiwan. Taiwan's natural defenses are formidable. Its rugged, mountainous terrain, particularly in the central and eastern parts of the island, would provide substantial cover for defensive forces. Key cities and military installations are primarily located along the western coastal plains, which are more vulnerable to direct assaults, but are also heavily fortified. Taiwan's military strategy has been shaped by this geography, with significant defensive infrastructure, including missile systems, anti-aircraft defenses, and fortified positions along the coastline. Taiwan's mountainous regions create natural barriers that would make it harder for an invading force to sustain itself or move rapidly across the island. Roads are limited, and the terrain makes logistical support difficult, meaning that an occupying force would struggle to maintain supply lines. The island's highly developed infrastructure is also an advantage for Taiwan, as it can quickly mobilize troops and resources from different parts of the country to reinforce threatened positions. Taiwan's preparedness. Taiwan's military, despite being smaller in scale compared to China's, is highly advanced and has focused on asymmetric warfare strategies that could deter or even neutralize a larger, more conventional military force. Taiwan has invested heavily in missile defense systems, advanced air defense capabilities, and anti-ship missile technology. Its air force, though smaller, is equipped with modern fighter jets and is strategically dispersed to avoid total destruction in a surprise attack. Taiwan also maintains a strong civil defense strategy, preparing its population for the possibility of war. The country's resilience in the face of potential conflict is bolstered by the support of its allies, particularly the United States. The U.S. has long had a policy of supplying Taiwan with advanced military hardware, and this support would likely be crucial in any large-scale conflict. Additionally, Taiwan benefits from strong intelligence-sharing relationships, particularly with the U.S., which would provide early warnings in the event of a Chinese attack. The need for coordination and timing. The challenge of coordinating such a large-scale amphibious invasion with the requisite timing cannot be underestimated. The Chinese military's recent exercises and rehearsals, though extensive, have not been sufficient to replicate the complexities of a full-scale invasion. The sheer scale of the operation would require months, if not years, of meticulous planning, including the mobilization of thousands of troops, equipment, and supplies. Even with a large force, China would need to ensure synchronization between air, naval, and ground forces, all while managing the risks of prolonged engagements. Taiwan's military, bolstered by its technological edge and strategic position, would not simply sit back and allow such an invasion to unfold. The defense would likely be fierce, involving everything from air superiority to guerrilla tactics. In contrast, the longer China's forces remain on Taiwan's shores, the more likely it is that the island's defensive capabilities would grow more effective, potentially leading to a protracted and costly conflict. Taiwan's natural defense and geographic advantages. Taiwan's geography, with its steep mountains and narrow entry points, provides significant natural defenses against any potential invasion. The island's central mountain range divides it into two distinct regions, making movement for a large invading force difficult. This rugged terrain allows Taiwan's defenders to hide and launch guerrilla attacks, slowing any advance. The western coast, where most of Taiwan's population resides, is vulnerable but heavily fortified with missile systems and coastal artillery. Any attempt to land would be complicated by Taiwan's defensive infrastructure and the natural barriers of the mountains along the coast. Reaching the capital, Taipei, would be especially challenging. Located in a valley surrounded by mountains, it is difficult to access and strategically protected. If China reached Taipei, urban warfare would ensue, a highly destructive and deadly challenge. House-to-house fighting in dense urban areas would result in immense casualties and destruction. Additionally, Taiwan has prepared its civilian population for defense, with widespread training and extensive underground bunkers to protect against aerial and missile attacks. The combination of geographic obstacles, defensive measures, and civilian readiness makes any invasion a daunting, costly task for China. The role of Taiwan's civilian defense and the Porcupine strategy. Taiwan has also implemented proactive defense measures. One of these is the Porcupine defense strategy, proposed by American military expert William Murray. This strategy aims to make Taiwan a difficult and costly target to invade, like a porcupine that uses sharp quills to fend off larger predators. Taiwan is equipped with modern, small, fast, and cost-effective weapons designed to slow down or halt any large-scale invasion attempts. These include anti-ship and anti-aircraft missiles like the Harpoon and Stinger systems, along with mines and drones. In 2015, Taiwan purchased 200 Stinger missiles and around 800 other types of missiles. By 2020, this number increased, along with an arsenal of drones and radar systems. These weapons are advantageous because they are cheaper and can be mass-produced. For example, 6 Harpoon missile systems can be purchased for the price of a single F-16 fighter jet, and 1,035 Stinger missiles can be bought for the cost of one F-16. These smaller weapons are also more difficult for China to detect and destroy due to their mobility and small size. This strategy allows Taiwan to inflict significant damage on invading forces without putting its own defenses at great risk. The economic and global consequences of a conflict. The Taiwan Strait is not only a key defensive barrier for Taiwan, but also one of the most vital trade routes in the world. More than 50% of global container traffic passes through the strait annually, making it indispensable to the global economy. A military conflict in this region could disrupt trade flows worth approximately $2.6 trillion. This would affect countless industries worldwide, from electronics to energy, as much of the world's critical supply chains pass through this narrow waterway. Disruption of global trade. A conflict would likely result in a blockage or significant disruption of shipping traffic through the Taiwan Strait. As Taiwan is a major global supplier of semiconductors, especially through companies like TSMC, any disruption in this area would have severe ripple effects on industries dependent on high-tech components. Countries worldwide would feel the consequences, particularly those in the tech, automotive, and consumer goods sectors, as production lines would face shortages of crucial parts. The broader global economy would also bear the costs, with trade between Asia, Europe, and the Americas facing delays and increasing costs. This could lead to inflationary pressures, particularly in sectors reliant on just-in-time manufacturing. Additionally, countries would likely seek alternative trade routes, which would require significant time and investment, further escalating the global economic cost. Impact on China's economy. While the global economy would be severely impacted, China itself would face the brunt of the consequences. The economic sanctions that would almost certainly be imposed by the United States, the European Union, and other global allies could destabilize China's economy. These sanctions would likely target key sectors such as high-tech industries, finance, and energy. China relies heavily on exports, with nearly 20% of its GDP tied to international trade. A sharp decline in export demand could push Chinese companies to relocate factories and investments to safer regions, accelerating the country's economic downturn. Further exacerbating this is China's reliance on global technology, particularly in areas like semiconductor manufacturing, where it remains heavily dependent on foreign innovation and equipment. Trade restrictions and sanctions would cripple many of China's industrial capabilities, hampering its long-term economic growth. Domestic unrest and political instability. Internally, a failed military campaign against Taiwan would have severe political and social ramifications. The conquest of Taiwan is seen by the Chinese Communist Party, CCP, as a core objective, closely tied to national pride and the legitimacy of the ruling regime. A failure to achieve this would result in immense political fallout. Public disillusionment could turn into widespread protests, as the CCP would face growing calls for accountability. Separatist movements within regions like Tibet, Xinjiang, and Hong Kong could see this as an opportunity to push their own agendas, destabilizing the internal cohesion of the country. Ethnic and political tensions could rise, and the CCP may face an internal power struggle, especially if its leadership falters. This could lead to a decline in Xi Jinping's authority and a weakening of the party's grip on power, potentially leading to factionalism or even political violence. The long-term impact on China's demographics and political stability. A war over Taiwan would not only affect China's immediate political and economic stability, but also have long-lasting consequences on its demographic makeup. China is already grappling with a severe demographic crisis due to its aging population and low fertility rates. In 2023, China recorded only 9 million births, continuing a downward trend in its population growth. If the fertility rate continues to decline, potentially reaching as low as 0.7 children per woman, the country's population could shrink dramatically in the coming decades. Declining population and economic productivity. By 2050, China's population is projected to fall to around 1.1 billion, down from its current population of over 1.4 billion. By 2100, some estimates suggest the population could drop to as low as 525 million, leading to a significant labor shortage. This could worsen the economic challenges China is already facing, as a shrinking workforce would place enormous pressure on social services, healthcare, and pension systems. The aging population would also result in lower consumer spending, as elderly populations generally consume less and rely more on state resources. As China's workforce shrinks, the economic productivity of the country will likely diminish, leading to a reduced capacity for innovation and industrial growth. The country's global economic influence may also wane, as fewer young people are available to drive technological advancements and economic development. Social and political instability. The demographic crisis will exacerbate social tensions within China. With fewer young people entering the workforce and more elderly people requiring care, the government will face mounting pressure to address these imbalances. This could lead to increased discontent among the younger generation, who may feel burdened by the economic challenges of supporting an aging population. Politically, this could fuel instability. If economic pressures are not addressed, discontent could lead to protests or civil unrest. Moreover, with fewer young people able or willing to enlist in the military, China could face difficulties in sustaining its military ambitions, which might make the country more vulnerable to external pressures or internal power struggles. In the end, the war for Taiwan is not just a military conflict. It is a step toward a profound crisis in China's economy, demographics, and politics. Even if China succeeds militarily, the overall impact could bring down the nation, erase its ambitions on the global stage, and destroy Xi Jinping's legacy. In this context, the Taiwan trap could very well be the end of Beijing's dreams of national revival.